You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic esthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. This podcast is brought to you by Stratum Aesthetics. Head to stratumaesthetics.com to find curated skincare, body care, and other wellness products hand-selected by me. Now enjoy the show. Please remember that the information I share in this podcast is based on my personal and professional experience and is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not individualized skincare advice, nor is it medical advice. I encourage you to take charge of your own health decisions and listen to your body, seeking out the resources and professionals that best support your wellness journey. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you so much for sharing these episodes with your friends on your Instagram. It means the absolute world to me. What would also mean the world to me is popping on and giving a 5-star review if you love the episode. Today, we're talking about tending to yourself in the autumn, rituals for autumn to care for yourself. And where this interests me in this work is how can this help us redefine our relationship with beauty? And in the default view of beauty that most of us grew up with, beauty is fully external. It's all about how others perceive you and holding on to youth. Conventional beauty puts all of this emphasis on fixing perceived problems. But this way of thinking is disconnected from nature. The fact that the skincare industry doesn't talk about circadian rhythms is a huge disconnection from nature. We need to shift our lens to think about beauty practices, including things like living in alignment with the changing seasons. Because when we do this, suddenly our tissue itself, our skin is nourished on a deeper level. Our nervous system is supported in a way that we wouldn't be able to otherwise, which, you cannot produce collagen in a dysregulated state. When we're living in alignment with the seasons, we get this embodied harmony that's so magnetic, and it is a far richer expression of beauty than anything that you can get in a syringe or a hydrofacial. I had a client reach out recently asking me for my recommendations for aging and how she can support herself. She's in her 30s, starting to notice aging for the first time. She doesn't want to do Botox, but also wants to look really good as she ages, which, by the way, I have an episode coming up around, I think, the first week of October that's all about wrinkles. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll be talking about it, of course, from my unique lens. But in my response to this client, I was like, well, buckle in, girl. I've got a TED Talk for you. One of the most important things that you can do to look vibrant as you age is to live in rhythm. So living in rhythm with the seasons, with your circadian cycles. My episode last week talked all about this, all about how it's so important to live in harmony and in relationship with the sun and how this affects aging, how it affects skin healing, all of the things. So if you haven't listened, make sure that you go back and check it out. This week, I want to talk about living in rhythm with the seasons. We're going to specifically talk about fall, but how this protects your deeper reserves and helps to build a true radiance. When our reserves are low, we're going to feel brittle, tired, dry. We're going to show signs of accelerated aging. But when we're well resourced, our system is regulated. It has this buffer zone where you can meet life without going into immediate burnout. And different healing traditions have different language for these reserves. In Chinese medicine, it's called your jing, your essence. In Ayurveda, it's called your ojas, your juice that keeps you radiant. And whatever word you use, the point is that living in rhythm helps you to protect and build that vitality. And last week, I talked a lot about how circadian rhythm and the circadian clocks within our body are anticipatory. So they're anticipating what's going to happen and they're preparing you for what's about to happen next in the day. And living in rhythm with these infradian rhythms, the seasons, anything that's longer than that 24 hours is actually going to be very similar. So when we're living in rhythm in fall, instead of fighting against what's happening in the outside world and in our body, because we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So in summer, when we're seasonally living, we're preparing ourselves for fall. And in the fall, when we're seasonally living, we are preparing ourselves for winter. In winter, if we are like going instead of going inward, taking time to rest, taking time for quiet, honoring the dark, we are going to burn out by the time spring comes and we're unable to have our reserves for the spring when it's time to wake up, shed all of that, and start to come back to life. So there's that, but then over time, all of these ancient healing systems do talk a lot about how burning through your jing, not building your ojas, is actually going to be a big cofactor in accelerated aging and degenerative aging. So what's happening in the fall? It's this natural descent into a more inward energy. It's a time for rooting our practices, our habits to stabilize our energy. Outside, winds are blowing. Maybe it's a little bit cooler. It's starting to get nice and crisp. Warming and rooting are the name of the game here to support your nervous system, your hormones, and build those reserves. I am not an expert or a practitioner in Ayurvedic or Chinese medicine. They're both concepts that I find infinitely fascinating. And so I do spend a lot of my time reading, researching, and then what's more important is that I spend a lot of time incorporating the practices from these lineages into my life. And my educational background is in Western herbalism. And so what I'm sharing here is from that perspective, not an expert, but somebody who is deeply interested and who just sees this as like a universal truth that is almost common sense when you start to dig into it. And today I want to talk primarily from an Ayurvedic perspective and weave that in with my own background of Western herbalism and vitalism. I'll do another episode later in the season talking about Chinese medicine and how fall is the season of the lungs and the large intestine. And I'll give some more ideas on seasonal tending from that lens. I originally had that info in this episode and it just felt like too much. Like I was talking about too many frameworks all at once and it felt overwhelming. And if you know me, my mantra is that simplicity is luxury, simplicity is clarity. So we're going to talk primarily from an Ayurvedic lens today. My hope is that you pick up one or two really yummy ideas. You don't need to feel like you have to do every single thing that I mention in this episode. The point of the episode is to feel like you've sunk into a warm bath and not like you're receiving a checklist of chores that you now have to do. So enjoy it in that way, and let's get into it. Ayurveda is an ancient healing system that's from India, and it's all about living in alignment with nature. And at its heart are these doshas. They're these three energies that describe patterns that we see in the body, but also in the world and really in everything. Ancient people are observing these different elements in all things, including humans. And this is such a beautiful reminder that you are not separate from nature, but you are nature. So fall is what Ayurveda calls Vata season. Vata is basically the energy of air and space. It's dry and cool. It's a little bit restless. And we see those same qualities show up in the weather as we see in our bodies. So maybe we have windy, cold, unpredictable weather. Maybe there is anxiety or dry skin, scattered thoughts, insomnia, overwhelm. These are all like those windy, airy conditions. And because opposites balance, the way that we can balance these Vata conditions in our body in the fall is going to look like warm, moist, oily, stable, kind of heavy, rhythmic things. Prioritizing warm, moist, oily foods. So what does that look like? All of the things that we crave in the fall. It is soup season, right? So we're going to want to do some soups, some stews. Congee is a favorite of mine that I started making last year. I use jasmine rice. It's my favorite for congee, but you soak the rice overnight to make it more digestible. You rinse it until it's clear, and then you put, I think it's 1 cup of rice to like 4 to 6 cups of water or broth, and you cook it for 45 minutes on a simmer, and it turns into this really lovely rice porridge. And this is just one of my absolute favorite grounding foods during this Vata season. Maybe a little bit of ghee stirred in. You can also add things like chicken and chili oil and scallions, maybe a little bit of soy sauce. There's a ton of recipes online to dress it up. One of my favorites that I found online was a breakfast congee. So you added an egg as well as bacon and scallions. That one's really yummy. Other foods that are wonderful this time of year, anything really earthy. So roasted root veggies, squash, all of these are going to be really supportive to that digestive fire and to calming and soothing your nervous system. I did an experiment where I started really just eating warm foods like this for a little while and not eating smoothies, not eating a lot of raw veggies, just like cooking stuff. And I cannot tell you the difference that it had on my nervous system. I now can just feel how calming it is to eat that warm bowl of stew or that warm bowl of congee in contrast to what it feels like to slam a smoothie. Other things that are fantastic are cooked fruits, stewed apples, pears, dates, and then adding in some warming spices like cardamom and ginger. This is a really good time to cook with healthy oils like ghee and olive oil. This is going to counter dryness. Also a great time to be avoiding raw salads, cold smoothies, popcorn and dry crackers. I don't follow that. I'm never gonna not eat popcorn. It's like my favorite food. But I am paying attention. How is this making me feel? Is that aggravating this Vata sensation in my body? Another thing that can be very aggravating to Vata, again, that scattered energy, that windy energy, is carbonated water. I didn't give up carbonated water forever. Again, I'm never going to be dogmatic. I'm never going to be associating morality with popcorn is bad, bad girl. But I am just paying attention. Like, am I real scattered today? Okay, I'm probably going to eat something more grounding. I'm going to reach for some spaghetti squash. I'm going to reach for maybe a tea or a steamed milk instead of making a mocktail with a spindrift. And so I feel like that's the beauty of the sovereignty that comes with herbalism, ancient healing practices. It's all about recognizing how you're feeling and then supporting how you're feeling in that moment, being able to listen to your intuition. Some tea allies this time of year are like fennel and tulsi, cinnamon, ginger. So there's so many like warming and grounding things that you can do to offset this Vata energy. So moving away from foods, let's talk about some really beautiful practices for the body. I want to first talk about Garshana and Abhyanga. So Garshana is a form of dry brushing, but you're actually using a pair of raw silk gloves. So I carry these in my shop. They're amazing because they're a little bit more gentle than a traditional dry brush. And a dry brush, if we're especially going really fast and there's a lot of scratching situations happening, this is going to aggravate Vata. And so the Garshana gloves are a lot smoother and they're going to be a little bit more calming to our senses during this time of the year. And then after we've done our Garshana or our dry brushing, my favorite is Abhyanga. So this is self-massage with oil. And a true Abhyanga massage is going to take upwards of 20 minutes because you're really getting in. You're starting at the scalp. You're incorporating your ears, your face. We're really getting in and doing a slow grounding massage. And then after you've finished this oil massage, you can go hang out for like 20 or 40 minutes. This is not always going to be possible if you like have to go to work at 7 a.m. unless you wake up at 4:30. But this might be like a weekend activity. So we're going to go hang out, make breakfast, and then we're actually going to shower afterward. And the warmth of the shower is just going to soften the skin and help with the penetration of the oil. The next fall tending activity I have is ear oiling. This has made a huge difference in my life. In Ayurveda, the ears are considered the main doorway for Vata because they are closely tied to balance and even our vagus nerves. So that windy Vata energy can create a sense of unsteadiness or ringing in the ears or like overstimulation here. And that's why in a windy, dry season, people can feel a little bit more sensitive or scattered. And oiling the ears with a couple of drops can really help calm this entry point. It nourishes the tissue, it protects it against dryness, and then it just has this like grounding effect. Think about how grounding oil is. And this is also why I find this so interesting. Practices like ear oiling can sometimes help with things like jaw tension or even chronic clenching of your jaw. And that's because the ears sit right beside that jaw joint. So oiling and soothing the ears can soften these patterns. I mean, think about what's going on when you're clenching. Thinking about those windy type of energies, that brittle nervous system, kind of crunchy nervous system type of energy. A lot of times that's stress, right? And so you're not doing it because you're grounded and chill in that moment. It's that unstable, restless energy. You're trying to counterbalance it by holding the jaw so tight. But oil can do that for you by bringing a little bit of weight, a little bit of warmth and lubrication to that area. It gives your nervous system a sense of stability so that instead of gripping so hard, your body can maybe try to let go. So I actually use from Pavani Ayurvedics, there's an ear oil, and I will warm this up and then just put like a drop or two in my ear while laying on my side. And then I'll maybe put a cotton round in there and turn over to the other side and do the other side. And it's just a very relaxing, calming moment. And this is not a checklist thing. I think the way that we come to things is so important. This is a care for myself before bed type of thing. Next up on my list, I have warm baths and or foot soaks. And this is just such a beautiful, grounded, weighted energy. In a bath, you're fully submerged by it. Water is a conductor of life force. It carries warmth just straight into our body. Foot soaks, I am forever in my foot soak era. This is particularly powerful because our feet are our root connection to the earth, and soaking them is going to restore that sense of rootedness, especially in an airy, dry season that feels a little unmoored. Keeping warm with scarves and cozy layers. I know this sounds so simple and kind of stupid almost, but in the fall, it is so medicinal. Your body is having to fight the cold, and so it's spending a lot of energy just trying to stay regulated, but warmth can conserve those reserves so that they can be used for repair and vitality instead of just for survival. Warmth is going to signal safety and relax our body so much more easily, helping us to shift out of stress mode. So think about like how a warm drink just feels like a hug in a mug or a cozy blanket or a hot bath. These just feel so instantly soothing, especially in the fall and as we move closer to the winter. Wearing socks around the house. I'm addicted to this now. I feel really weird when I'm walking around on cold, dry floors because these are pulling heat out of our body, and our feet are a major point of circulation and of grounding. And so keeping them warm is going to help prevent feeling really drained. Plus, our feet, again, they're that root connection to the earth. And when they're exposed, especially in a cold and dry season, our energy kind of leaks out. I love to add a little oil to my feet in the morning and at night before bed. It acts like a little seal, keeping vitality contained. And I find that when my body feels contained and safe like this, it's so helpful, especially if you have trouble sleeping. It's cueing that rest and repair mode. So seasonal living even includes the way that we exercise. And this is one I struggle with the most because I just want to do hot yoga all year round, even when it's 95 degrees out. And I want to swim in the pool all year round. But this isn't about strict rules. It's just about being more intuitive and noticing like, hey, I feel really erratic right now. I'm having horrible sleep this time of year. Maybe vigorous, erratic movement isn't going to make me feel the most grounded, especially in the evening before bed. So maybe I'll do like a slower hot yoga or grounding things like lifting or walking instead of a high intensity spin class right now. But in the spring, kapha season, that's that water and earth season, It's like wet and dense, and some more high intensity workouts can help you get out of that feeling like you're walking through quicksand. And Vata thrives on stability. And so this is why very regular rhythmic meals and routines, eating at the same time every day, can give your body some more stability. Your digestive fire knows when to turn on, which means you absorb and assimilate foods better. So having consistency in whatever it is, like a cup of tea around the same time or walking at the same time or whatever it is going to tell your system you can relax, you're safe in the face of all of this like windy energy. This steadiness keeps Vata's anxious, restless qualities from taking over. In the fall, it's so important to be early to bed before 10 p.m. and then rise with the sun. These regular early sleep deposits into your savings account of vitality will pay off. And then finally, my favorite, warm candlelit spaces are going to make your home feel like a cozy cocoon. And this is just so good. And I'm not talking about like toxic candles here. I'm not about a Yankee Candle moment. Get beeswax if you can. They are more expensive, but they burn longer. And actually, I make my own, and this makes having candles going more often more cost effective. And plus, it's just like a fun little activity. It's easy. But in the words of Ina Garten, if you didn't make your own, store-bought is fine. But this cocooning yourself in a cozy space just helps to hold your energy close instead of letting it leak out and scatter all over like the leaves. And so I've been talking about balancing the challenges of the fall, but we also have so many gifts of this Vata time of year. Remember, it's very airy, very cerebral. So creativity and inspiration might be happening. Ideas are flowing. It might feel very intuitive and easy to clear space and easy to clear clutter. There's a lot of spiritual clarity. Your intuition might feel super sharp. Your dreams might feel more vivid. So this is a great time to harness this energy and work with these gifts by setting aside time for creativity. Maybe it's writing or drawing, but then giving that Vata energy a steady container. Rhythm and routine are so important because they can be that steady container so that your inspiration has the space to take root, but you're also not feeling like you're burning out with it, you know? Okay, that's my list. I hope they feel really yummy to you. I invite you to pick just a few that are maybe new and incorporate them. I want to mention that my face massage workshop is coming back. This is my bi-yearly live facial massage workshop where we get together once a week for 6 weeks and we learn face massage, and it's beautiful. Tickets for this workshop will go on sale Monday, October 13th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We will start on November 17th. Spaces are limited. I like to keep it intimate, so make sure to sign up for the wait list so that you're the first to know when the tickets are available. I will be back next week, and until then, be well. You've been listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality. If you like what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you to find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels at Stratum Aesthetics.